Good, thank you.
And
And we just, one clarification, Melinda?
Yeah, this is Gabe, Rio Arriba County. Sorry.
Okay, we were just making sure who Melinda was, so.
Now we know.
clever disguise, clever disguise.
Fooled us all.
Okay, all right, so, bring this meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. Singitamu, muy buenos días de Dios. I'd like to call the meeting of the North Central Regional Transit District to order for the agenda for Friday, May 1st, 2026. And Stephen, can you call the roll, please?
I'm going to have my colleague Reina Bustamante will be doing roll and voting calls, so please respond to her and not my voice.
Thank you.
And I'll prod you when necessary.
Perfect. Reina, could you
Take
call the
it
roll,
away.
please?
Village of Chama, Town of Edgewood,
Here.
City of Espanola,
Here.
Los Alamos County, here, Nambe Pueblo,
Here.
Winge, Pueblo Poake, Village of Cuesta, Rio Arriba County,
Here.
Pueblo Sanay,
Here.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Here.
City of Santa Fe,
Present.
Santa Fe County,
Present.
Taos County,
Present.
Town of Taos,
Present.
Village of Taos Ski Valley, Pueblo of Tesuque. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll bypass on introductions for now. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could please remain standing for a moment of silence. Keep in mind the struggles that we all go through each and every day in our communities, the worldwide conflicts that are happening, and just for peace overall. Thanks, everyone. At this point, we have the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes from staff on the agenda?
No changes from staff on the agenda. However, we do have a time-certain presentation at 9:45 a.m. So whatever we're doing when we hit 9:45, we're going to pivot to the presentation on the legislative update.
Okay, so given that, at that point in time, if we're not there, we'll ask for a motion to go into the presentation. Any changes from the board? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Edgewood moves that we approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
In a second, we'll give it to Pedro.
Oh, okay.
A little faster.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. You got that, Rena?
I did,
Okay, can you call the roll, please?
yes. Town of Edgewood,
Aye.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County,
Yes,
Nambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County,
yes,
Town of Taos,
Yes.
motion passes.
On to public comments. Are there any members from the general public that would like to come and speak? If you would like to, please step to the podium and we're all yours.
One moment, please.
State your name for the record if possible. Is that all we asked for, Stephen?
Yeah.
Good morning, board members. My name is Johannes Martinez. I'm a patron that commutes on the regularly on the buses of RTD. I got a discrepancy pertaining to the Chimayo bus, which is the 150 bus. There seems to be no coordination in complying to the other buses due to the fact of the new schedule. The old schedule, which was working fine, so now the new schedule, it pertains to being delayed. So for instance, if you catch the bus it leaves, I believe at 6 a.m. at the Park and Ride station from Espanola, and it makes its route all the way to Los Trampas. And basically, it shows up to when it does its route, it comes back to the Park and Ride in Espanola around probably 8:15 a.m. So during that time frame, there's, like myself, sometimes I work in Santa Fe, but I show up late. I can't make my acquaintance to go to this other destination due to the fact that I missed the Riverside bus, which leaves at 8:10, which they changed the schedule to that. I missed the 8 a.m. bus. There's a Park and Ride bus that leaves from Espanola Transit Center, and it goes to Santa Fe. You have to pay $2 for that, but that doesn't bother me. And as well as I miss, let's say, I have to wait 45 minutes if I have to catch the Riverside bus, which will show up at 9:10 a.m. So if I want to catch the bus at, let's say, at a later time, I miss the Taos bus, which I have to wait 2 hours. I miss also the Santa Clara bus, which leaves at 9:10. So it shows up there after 9:10, 9:20. This isn't just me. These are a lot of patrons that catch this bus that need to make their connection. And not only that, some of them have to go to medical, facilities, and they have to wait for the West Side Crosstown, which is the 110 bus. They miss that bus. So they have to wait till actually 10. And it's just, it doesn't comply with anything. And I came in and I spoke to one of the supervisors, I believe her name is Janine, and I expressed my situation of what's going on with the transit, and she said, okay, she took it into account. I even spoke to even the drivers, and the driver said, well, we'll mention it, but obviously it got unheeded. I even spoke to the Jeff from operations. He was riding the bus one time and just checking the routes and stuff. I expressed what this is not, complying to what it actually should be complying to. And he said, well, we'll talk to about it and email someone. So I came and I spoke to Janine. She gave me a business card for the Deputy Executive Director for Operations to email him, which is Brian Wallach. And I expressed my situation, how these coordinations were not working. Well, obviously, he said, just contact the number and we'll work with you. Well, how are you gonna work with me if it hasn't been, the issue hasn't been, it's been already, we're already on May 1st, and the new route started on the 4th of the 11th day? So why is this not getting taken care of? And there's a lot of people that need this transportation. So as for me, I believe that the old schedule, which was always on time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, will work just fine. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5:15, but those times have changed. You can't make your connection. And sometimes these drivers, they're not going on schedule due to maybe some sort of issue. So I hope this addresses to everyone to let you know that, this needs to be addressed and be taken care of. I appreciate your time. And also, I got one more thing that I wanted to express. I was looking at the uniforms of the employees, and I noticed they have their names on there. And I feel like, to me personally, that they shouldn't have their names on there, because there's a lot of people that take this into account. And they say, well, that's so-and-so, well, let's get him on social media and post his name and say he's a bad driver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like I know drivers in California different parts of the states that they just have their badge number listed on the, I believe it's a reader board. So if you have a complaint, they could just contact the badge number instead of having the employees have their name posted on their chest, and then, you know, because there's a lot of retaliation. So, you know, for the safety of the drivers. But basically, you know, that's all I have to say as far right now. I appreciate your time, and I hope this gets taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, and you are definitely at the right place up the chain of command to do this, and so we don't usually have a dialogue back and forth. However, if you make sure you get in contact with them and get your information to us, we'll make sure we can work on this and see if we can work on it. Thank you.
So we're at our time certain item, just about.
Okay, at this moment, I'd like to entertain a motion to move directly to presentations at 9:45, which moves around our agenda slightly.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by, and a second. Motion by Santa Fe County, second by Los Alamos. Could you call the roll on that?
Town of Taos,
Yes.
Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County,
Yes.
Lambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn this over to Director Sopel and Scott
Scanlon, yeah. Yeah, so we have Scott joining us virtually via Zoom, who's going to give us our presentation on our legislative update and kind of what happened in the 30-day session and what the results were, you know, from our legislative agenda that we passed at the end of last year going into the legislative session. So with that, I'll turn it over to Scott Scanlon. We'll need to turn on the mic, though. I don't know if...
There we go. Okay, now we're rolling. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Nick. I'm sorry I can't be with you today. I'm actually at a legislative event and I've stepped out, so if it's a little noisy, I apologize. But it was a 30-day session, so hopefully we can run through this pretty quickly, the report, and then if you all have any questions or anything, I'll do my best to answer them. But again, it was a 30-day session, so really just fiscal matters only. We put in a couple of capital outlay requests, and that's what I'll probably spend most of the time on. But there were two bills based on the legislative agenda that y'all passed, and then being directed by Nick. We were watching Senate Bill 18, the Clear Horizons and Emissions Bill. It did fail. It failed to pass the Senate, but it was a bill that we identified that could have some pretty significant impact on our operation, but the bill didn't pass, so there you go. The second one was Senate Bill 213, which was a gas tax, basically. Weight and distance tax. It did not pass either. And we were, again, concerned with that bill, the impact that it would have on our budget. But again, it didn't pass. So that's the good news. That's the good news. So Senate Bill 240 was the capital outlay bill for this legislative session, and we had two priority items. One was kind of what's become kind of an annual bus replacement request, and then also to begin the preliminary work on the Chama facility. We had, I think we had a good session on the bus request. We gathered up $480,000. And I do want to call out, if it's, it'll just take a second, I do want to call out the members of, I call it the Blue Bus Delegation, but it's a combination of mostly the Santa Fe County delegation, but also Los Alamos, Rio Arriba, Taos, members of those delegations too. But I lovingly refer to them as the Blue Bus guys. But it's real easy to say that we support public transit. It's easy to say that we concerned about climate change and those types of issues. But these are the members that I'm fixing to read off that put literally put their money where their mouth is. And these are the members of the legislature that supported our capital outlay request, support public transit, and frankly, just can't thank them enough. So Senator Peter Worth, on the bus request, Senator Peter Worth gave $100,000. Representative Linda Serrato gave $100,000. They're both from Santa Fe County. Senator Bobby Gonzalez from Taos gave $100,000. Senator Leo Jaramillo from, well, Los Alamos, Rio Arriba. He's a multi-county guy, gave $75,000 for the bus. Senator Liz Stefanik from Santa Fe County, 40,000. Senator Linda Trujillo from Santa Fe County gave 40,000, and Representative Susan Herrera from Rio Arriba gave 25,000. So again, for a total of $480,000. So thank you to those members. On the Chama project, Senator Leo Jaramillo was a twofer. He gave $75,000 for the Chama facility, and Representative Christine Chandler from Los Alamos mostly, and then a little bit of Santa Fe County and a little bit of Sandoval County gave $50,000. So Senator Worth, Representative Serrato, Senator Gonzalez, Senator Jaramillo, Senator Stefanik, Senator Trujillo, Representative Herrera, and Representative Chandler, thank you very much for supporting the Blue Bus and public transit in North Central New Mexico. So really, that's the extent of the bills that we were following. Now, a bill passed, and I just want to touch on it quickly because I'm going to send, because I'm not sure if the municipal league, I think the county association might have touched on it during their regional meetings. I'm not sure if the league did, but House Bill 247 passed the legislature, and it's a capital outlay reauthorization. They call it changes, but cleanup, not even cleanup. Overhaul. Maybe that's a good thing. And but it's going to affect all cities, all counties. It'll affect us. Anyone that requests capital outlay dollars. And what they're doing is they're basically putting a 2-year, a one-time only 2-year extension on any new capital outlay projects. And so the message is, as soon as you get the money, encumber the money and spend the money just as fast as you can, because as you know, I don't know what the number was, $3-4 billion in back capital outlay dollars. Then the legislature is bound and determined to clear that money out. And so for existing projects, and again, when you go back home to your communities, your elected bodies, the message is, if you get the money, you got to spend the money, and you got to spend it quickly. The bill also, any project for capital outlay has got to appear on the CIP now. So it's not, for all of these years, if a legislator wants to fund a project, whether or not it's on a CIP or on your CIP, they can fund it. Well, no more going forward. And a project has got to be $100,000 or more. So, the small, $25,000, $50,000 projects, at least in terms of funding, are, I don't want to say they're out the window, but they will not be looked upon very favorably. So So as it applies to us, the concern that I have is we are very, very good at, as soon as the money comes in, we sign our agreement with the DFA. We're very good at encumbering the money and ordering the bus. But as you all know, we can order the bus tomorrow and it might take 2 years to get in. And so I think we're going to probably be in a place that as long as we can show that the bus has been ordered, and we can show the paperwork that from the company or whatever, that it's bag locked, whatever, then I think we're going to be okay. But it is going to have, it could be an issue going forward when you are making the big purchases that we make, and it just takes time to get in. But I'm gonna send a couple of slides out with a little bit more detail about House Bill 247. But I just thought that since all of you represent such a divergent area up north, that it's just a heads up that in capital outlay, things are a changing, as Bob Dylan, I guess, once said. So anyway, so Mr. Chairman, members, that's the extent of it. I do have to tell you that last Friday, the Legislative Council met and they approved all of the interim committees. So at least in my brain, the 2027 legislature started a week ago today. So there you go. So I'm pretty excited about it. So the interim committees will start. The Legislative Finance Committee's already met once earlier in the week. Legislative Education Committee is meeting as we speak, and then all of the rest of the interim committees, the tax committee, and all the others will start organizing in a month or so, and we'll be off to the races all summer, chasing interim committees around the state of New Mexico. So that's it. As you all know, we're going to have a new governor in 2027. The Senate is not up for election, so all the senators will remain the same. And then all 112 seats in the House are up for election. About 65%, 75% are already reelected. They didn't draw a primary nor a general election. We've got about 5 or 6 open seats, and then the rest are contested either in the primary and the general. So I suspect we'll have at least 6, probably 8, 9 new members in the House, and a new governor. And I think that's it. So I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you, and I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Scanlon. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Scanlon. I just want to make sure I heard correctly that the Chama facility received $125,000 in capital outlay?
Mr. Chairman, yes, ma'am. 125, 50,000 from Chandler and 75 from Jaramillo for a total of 125. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And then the other question, a little unrelated to, well, maybe it's related. All projects will have to be on the CIP going forward. Will they have to be in the top 10?
Very good question. The legislation, I'm just running through it real quick as some plates roll by. It doesn't look that way. No. So as long as it's on the CIP, I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it needs to be a top 3, top 4 project.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, thank you for all your work, and on to another session in probably, 7 months from now, so.
That's right. That's right. Well, I thank you very much, and it's raining in southern New Mexico, so hallelujah.
Here, send some up here.
Okay, all right, go. Thank you all, appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
All right, back to our normal order of business. That takes care of the presentation. There's no more public comment, so it doesn't seem, so we'll close the public comment section and go on to our awards and recognitions. Years of Service, Living Our Values Quarterly Awards Presentation, and I guess the sponsor is me. I'm gonna turn this over to kick it off with Director Sofel.
Sure. We have 5 employees, I believe, 5 employees celebrating their 1-year anniversary with the district that we want to recognize today. And then after, we'll call out the names, and then after everyone's been called, we'll invite anyone who's here to come up and accept their award, their 1-year pin, and their duffel bag, which is kind of the one of the giveaways we do for this type of anniversary. And following that, we'll do our Living Our Values Award for the quarter, which is a big honor in the organization.
Good. All right, so we will start off with, do we have Paula Pulaka here today?
Wonderful.
1 Year of Service Award presented to Paula Pulaka on May 1st, 2026. This award is presented with deepest appreciation for 1 year of service and dedicated to the North Central Regional Transit District. May it serve as a reminder of your outstanding contributions to our organization. I know it's a little narrow alley right there, but. All right, thank you, Paul. We appreciate your dedication. 1 year milestone.
Stay up here and we'll get the whole group together.
Next one is Adam Gutierrez. We have Adam here? Nope, Adam's not. Anyway, thank you, Adam. Presented with 1 year of recognition. We'll get you your award. Do we have Joe Medina? Yeah, 1 year of service award presented to Joe Medina on May 1st, 2026. This award is presented with deepest appreciation for 1 year of service and dedication to the North Central Regional Transit District. May it serve as a reminder of your outstanding contributions to our organization. Thank you, Mr. Medina.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next one, do we have Jeffrey Madrid? No, no Jeffrey. Again, thank you, Jeffrey. If you're going to watch this later, we appreciate you. And Robert, morning. Nope, also. Once again, thank you, Robert, for your time, and we'll be getting you your stuff if you do watch this in the future. But thanks again, guys, for a year of dedication. Nice little gym bag.
You want to come in? We'll take a look.
You guys have a speech or any words you'd like to say? You're welcome to say it any time now.
I just want to say it's been a great organization. I'm very, very grateful to be here. And I just recently got promoted to a support supervisor position, so I'm excited to learn from Brian, Nick, and Janae, James, and Milan. So I'm just very grateful for the opportunity. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also the same. Sorry for my throat. I got the allergies going on. I appreciate you guys looking at me and hiring me and giving me the chance to work with the parts and text of the
Thank you.
enjoy it every day. I read the shows. I'm not called in sick one day.
All right. There you go. We're going to have an attendance award here.
There we go.
Soon.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being here. Okay, and we have a Janae Sanchez. This is a Living Our Values Award for 2026 first quarter. And so Janae Sanchez, Transit Shift Supervisor, nominated by our Executive Director here. Janae was nominated for how she handled the opening shift during the winter storm we had in January. She was able to juggle many different tasks with very limited resources. She remained calm, collected, and positive, which allowed for a smooth and safe operation for that day. Thank you so much for your leadership. Get you on a gift certificate?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. And you are welcome to say any words if you like.
I'm just very grateful as well. I mean, I was just doing my job that day, you just have to go with the flow and it all works out, but thank you for recognizing me for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Good, thank you all for your dedication to the organization. We're on to approval of minutes from the March 6, 2026 meeting of the NCRTD Board of Directors. If there are no changes from either staff or the board, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, Edward moves to approve the minutes for March 6, 2026.
Okay. Motion by Edgewood. Second.
City of Espanola.
City of Espanola on a second. Can you call the roll, Reina, please?
Yes. Los Alamos County,
Yes.
Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County,
Yes.
Town of Taos,
Yes.
Pueblo of Tesuque,
Yes.
Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We are on to approval of minutes from the April 10th, 2026 inaugural board leadership retreat. And if there are no changes from either staff or the board, entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve?
Motion by Santa Fe County,
Second?
second by City of Taos, Town of Taos.
Taos. We're still small.
Call the roll in.
Yes. Taos County,
Yes.
Town of Taos,
Yes.
Pueblo of Tesuque,
Yes.
Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County,
Yes.
Nambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo, Suzette,
Yes. Sorry about that.
okay, City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. On to our consent agenda. Are there any items from the consent agenda that would, that any members of the board would like to pull and have a discussion over? This time, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, and if you would so maybe utilize the wording that is right underneath where it says consent agenda. Yep.
Los Alamos. I move that the board approve the items on the consent agenda as presented and that the motions in the staff reports be included for the record.
We got a motion by Los Alamos.
Second.
Second, we'll give it to Santa Fe County if you want that one. Can you call the roll, please?
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County, Town of Taos,
Yes.
Pueblo of Tesuque,
Yes.
Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County,
Yes.
Nambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, very good. We are on to item 11, accept the annual North Central Regional Transit District. Oh, is that part of the consent?
It has.
Okay, action items, sorry. Presentation of proposed interim fiscal year 2027 budget and approval submittal to New Mexico Department of Finance Administration. And we'll go ahead and turn this over to Director Tim Milden.
And I'm going to take it, I'm going to bounce the ball right back. All right. Good morning, everyone, all members of the board. So I'm very excited to present our fiscal year 27 proposed budget for the next year. Had a really good conversation presenting this to the Finance Subcommittee last Wednesday, and so excited to then bring this forth to the full board. Get the PowerPoint up, and we'll go right into this slide after the title slide.
Certainly, let me turn off this annoying bar.
It's our favorite part of Zoom, right?
It is. It's one of my favorite features. Oh, just come on, baby. And I'm sorry, which slide did you want to start with?
Just next slide. Okay. Perfect. So the presentation I'm going to make about the budget this year is going to be a little bit different than what you've seen in the past. I really want to kind of keep the momentum going from the retreat, right? And kind of be able to present the budget through the lens of the outcomes, the success outcomes that were defined and aligned between the executive leadership team and the board as part of the board retreat. So everything that you see for this presentation, I'm going to try to align what we're doing in budget to these success outcomes. And so just a reminder, they were customer experience, mobility and access, financial stability, community value, and employee engagement. Next slide. So community value, and for each of these, I kind of put a little descriptor at the top of what, I kind of feel, how community value or each one of these outcomes kind of relates to Blue Bus. And so if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read them as we go through them. But Blue Bus is more than a transit provider. We are a community integrator, collaborator, and economic driver, delivering solutions that enhance the quality of life for district residents and visitors alike. And so to me, this is absolutely at the core of what we do. This was the highest ranked success outcome from the board of directors. And so I want to emphasize that our budget continues kind of this tradition of ensuring that we are highly connected with the communities that we serve. And we're doing that through collaborations with nonprofits and social services. That is a constant effort being led out of our marketing communications department under Rick's leadership. Very excited about those things and those things that come. It includes participation and sponsorships of community events. We'll be doing more of that as time goes on. I know we're sponsoring the 4th of July pancake breakfast coming up. We have a couple of different events for the summer, so I'm really excited about being able to participate in those. We did have, what was it, Taos Con was it called? It was the kind of anime festival at the at UNM Taos. It was really cool. So we want to continue those kind of partnerships and being involved and engaged in the community. We're going to be continuing the implementation of our hybrid and battery electric bus pilot program. And so we have those hybrid buses going into revenue service sometime this summer, and then shortly thereafter we'll have our battery electric bus deployment as a part of that. And then we're continuing the rebranding of our fleet. You've seen the kind of new wraps coming on board on the buses. When they do get rewrapped, they look absolutely amazing. I'm excited to be accelerating that program in the coming months ahead so that we can get more of them wrapped, because I still see every once in a while there's one that's kind of hanging out there that really needs some attention. So we're working on that. But then what's also coming in the next year is a consistent rebrand of all of our stop infrastructure. So right now, if you look at our bus stop signs, you kind of see there's a smattering of different designs out there, and a lot of them are the old logo and the old look of the organization. And so we're doing a rebranding effort in the next year to make that all consistent with our new brand, emphasizing Blue Bus, as what the public knows us. And the example I use about this, which I think is always so important, is when I started in the org and I told folks that I worked for NCRTD, folks have no idea what I'm talking about. As soon as I say Blue Bus, the eyes light up and they go, oh yeah, the Blue Bus, And so we want to extend that same branding to every single bus stop in the fleet, and across the service area in the region, so folks can connect all those stops in that service to what we're doing. So not only do they see our bus as a reminder of who we are, but they'll also see our stops on the side of the road and make sure that relates back to us as a brand. Next slide, please. So financial stability, this was the number 2 ranked item from the board of directors. Blue Bus ensures responsible stewardship of district resources by maintaining focus on core services and planning for long-term obligations. And so under this, what we have in the next coming year is completion of the fiscal sustainability study that was initiated under Tony's leadership. And we're going to have some conversations in this probably the latter half of this calendar year, probably before the December recess, or January recess, should I say, to talk a little bit about, where we are in terms of fiscal sustainability long-term. Particularly, I'm interested in trying to make sure that we're capturing in our long-term plans and projections the state of good repair for the multi-million-dollar facilities we have completed as an agency in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And we're about to break ground another one, which is right here in this building, in the coming year ahead. So every time you build one of those buildings, there's a significant obligation you have then to maintain all those facilities for the years coming up. And so that's going to be a big component of what we're looking at when we kind of say, okay, are we fiscally sustainable moving forward, as we kind of integrate this all together and looking at our funding streams. We're going to continue to execute our outstanding obligations through our grants. So we have a very large amount of grant money obligated to this agency for the size of the agency. I've actually never seen anything really like it before. Our amount of grants outstanding is a lot greater than our whole annual operating budget, by far. It's like multiple years of operating budget, is what we have in outstanding grant obligations. And so these are obligations that we already have on the books, but we haven't fully drawn down that money because we have to actually implement those projects. And so what you're going to see over the next year, 2 years, is likely going to be a little bit of a slowdown of applying for a new grant so that we can spend the money, as kind of Scott said, right? You got to spend this money, you can't let it sit. We need to be able to execute those grants and get these projects through our pipeline, and then, of course, once we build them, always going back to the operating budget and seeing once we build it, what does it mean long-term? Looking at right-sizing our fleet as an organization, one of my observations here, as well as our executive director of operations, is that we're kind of using larger vehicles on a lot of routes than what we actually need, and so there's an expense to that, of operating things that are not really the right size for the agency, particularly because we do a lot of rural routes. We're going off-road onto dirt roads and going over rocks and sand and things like that. And these cutaway buses that you see that are kind of boxy, built on, Ford chassis, they're really designed for suburban circulation, airport circulators, urban circulation. They're not really vehicles that are designed to go off-roading in a rural context. And so it results in a really poor ride for our customers, not a great ride for our operators. And it actually causes the vehicles to have more state of good repair needs because the vehicle's shaking like this. If you ever go on and go off-road, you'll see, look at what the wheelchair lift does when you go off-roading onto those rocks in the dirt. It's not great. So we're looking at where we have routes that are serving, 10, 15, 20 passengers a day. You don't need a full-size cutaway to be able to operate those routes and meet the passenger demand. We can actually do that in a larger, like, Ford Transit van. And we can make those vans low floor as well, so that they don't have to have a wheelchair lift and there's less movable parts. And we'll be able to traverse these areas in the rural communities a lot efficiently, a lot better, and it will be less costly because these vehicles cost less money and they cost less money to maintain. And so we're looking to do that, is not just stick with the larger, cutaways and larger buses, but where we do have opportunities, and it makes sense financially for us to be able to right size, getting some vehicles that are smaller but still offer, an exceptional level of service, and we saw a couple of these new large low floor vans at SWATA recently, the conference that was held in Albuquerque, and I was really excited by what I saw. There's some really good stuff on the market that would be perfect for a rural context. And then focusing on our core services, this is kind of a little bit of my kind of get back to basics, campaign, is that the service to our customers needs to be, first and forthright on everything that we do, right? The service we're providing is what matters. And that's what I've kept hearing when I go out in the community is we need service. We need more service. We need consistent service, reliable service. And that is going to make a huge community impact of us just being able to meet our schedules and expand our service as time goes on. And so I really want to focus on that core, for the agency moving forward. Next slide. Customer experience was the third one. Blue Bus advances projects that elevate the customer experience, driving positive agency sentiment and ridership growth. So exciting projects on the horizon next year. I talked about this a little bit in the board meetings, is that we're looking to improve our microtransit operations platform. So that's the app that you would use on the public-facing side to be able to order a microtransit trip, or a MyBlue trip. Right now, so we've got a lot of feedback that the customer experience is not great, and we had previously selected a a supplier for that platform that was kind of in its infancy and kind of we thought would grow with the organization and, you know, be able to keep up with technology advancements. And what's kind of happened is that particular firm has not been able to keep up with what we've seen as the industry has matured. And there's, you know, 3 or 4 companies out there that offer a really, really, really polished product that's going to dramatically increase customer, usability and customer experience. So moving that forward as a part of the budget. We're looking to implement a customer resource management platform. Right now, when like the gentleman that came in who had, you know, comments about our service, right now we don't have a unified management platform to collect all that information. You know, when folks call, it's being listed in various spreadsheets, maybe on sheets of paper that then try to get collated. And so there is no centralized database where we can collect all this feedback and then be able to then go in there, define it and assign it to who should be the one to respond to it, see how long it took for us to respond, and then what the response was, if anyone needed to go back and track, you know, how we address that concern. And so, you know, so the comment this morning is, I think goes right back to this, is what I want to see is, you know, we would be able to go in there and see exactly, you know, when was the first comment made, when was the first contact with the organization, what was the feedback we got, and how we addressed it, and how we can make it better moving forward. So right on the nose in terms of what we're looking to do for customer experience when we receive feedback. It's also going to be great because then we're going to have much better statistics and data about the customer feedback we're receiving. Because right now it's coming in from so many different sources, and without a single database, it's hard for us to know exactly all the feedback we're receiving as an organization. So that's going to be a big help for us in being able to track, you know, kind of those customer comments. We are currently completing a new bus system map. Then right on the heels of that is going to be a rider's guide. This is really important for the organization. You know, right now we have kind of a general rider rules of conduct policy, but not really a rider guide, like some sort of, you know, document, you know, that we produce that's, you know, folks can easily reference and kind of say, okay, this is the guide to not only what are the rules of conduct, but how do you ride public transit? Some people just don't know, you know, there's kind of a barrier of, I've never done it before, I'm afraid to do it, you know, and usually all it takes is me to take one person on the bus one time and show them how to do it and show them how to pull the cord and, you know, just, you know, it's small, it seems simple, but, you know, a lot of folks have a lot of, you know, they've never done it before, so it's different, you know, and so that's kind of a barrier in getting folks on transit. So we're hoping that a rider's guide will help to make people a little bit more comfortable by spelling out, you know, how do you ride our system, how do you use it, and where to go for information. Then the last piece there for customer experience that I'm thrilled to be kicking off in the next month or so is the Art in Public Transit project, you know, or it's actually not even a project, it's really a program. So we have an initial project that's already in the budget, but I'm looking to make sure that we continue this commitment that the board is making in Art in Public Transit. There's a committee that the board appointed back before the end of the calendar year last year, and that committee should be meeting shortly over the summer to kick off the work of the Art in Public Transit and then continue that into the next new year. Next slide. Mobility and access. Blue Bus aligned services to establish community need while laying the groundwork for future rural rapid transit corridor, which is going to be a transformative expansion of our network. I can't stress that piece enough. We're definitely going to have more conversations as time goes on what exactly rural rapid transit means to this organization, but it is going to be probably the biggest transformational project that we do as a district, you know, because what that will do is right now we have a lot of routes that are doing one seat rides that are not very productive and not very frequent. Like you'll have, you know, let's say 4, 5, 6 trips a day from Tesuque, right, that go somewhere, you know, and then you have a couple trips a day from Santa Clara that go down to the Indian Hospital and go down to Santa Fe. What Rural Rapid Transit's going to do is create that high-frequency north-south spine between Taos and Santa Fe, you know, where that service between those points, so Taos, Espanola, Santa Fe, you know, that's going to be running much higher frequencies of service. What you'll actually be looking at a headway. Like you can say the bus is going to come every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes. You know, something that you're not going to have to be as worried about what is the schedule and am I going to meet that one trip or am I going to be stuck for 2 hours? But what that changes is the feeder services. Instead of having one seat rides, what we'll be doing is we'll have more frequent service, let's say from various pueblos or from the various communities that will then link up to that north-south high-frequency spine to get where they need to go. So instead of having a one-seat ride, it's going to require a transfer. However, much more frequent levels of service, where you can depend upon it the whole day. But that's going to fundamentally change the whole context of the organization and how we provide and how we deliver service. And so it's a really big project. And so our Rural Rapid Transit Corridor Study is going to kick off in this coming year. And there's already funding secured for that project through a federal RAISE grant. And so we're going to be looking to meet our obligations to be able to, we have to obligate that grant by, I think, October of 2028. So we have to do the corridor study and the environmental phase for that work and work with all of our partners along the route. That's going to be a really, really transformative and large project. We are advancing the Silky Blue Bus Park and Ride lot right here around on the side of our property. So that's one of the big projects on the docket for next year. Of course, we have a pretty robust program of doing ADA and bus stop amenities across the district. That's going to continue. And most importantly, and I'll get into this a little bit more in my presentation, a couple slides, is I'm proposing an additional 5 bus drivers to support a more robust fiscal year 27 service plan. Next slide. And the last piece is employee engagement. Blue Bus invests in our people by building transit fluency and strengthening retention, enabling us to fully realize the return on investment on our world-class facilities and infrastructure. This is a key theme in general for me coming into the organization, where the organization has built a lot of world-class, state-of-the-art facilities, multi-million. These are facilities that larger agencies would kill to have. They would love to have the facilities that we have. It's a huge achievement. But I think we're at the point in our organization's maturity where we really need to start focusing on our employees themselves and start to build that professional capital within the organization so that we can mature as an organization now that we have the framework for success. So I'm proposing an additional position for a learning and development coordinator in the organization. This will report into our HR department. This is going to be critical right now. When our bus drivers start with the district, they get about 1 day of orientation, and then they sit in front of a computer for the next, how many days. And that's where they're supposed to learn everything they're supposed to learn before they go out on the road. And that's not a real good way to learn in the industry. So this will enable there to be a learning and development coordinator to do some classroom training to solidify those concepts they learn via the online learning, to make sure that they're fully prepared for when they go out into service, as well as working on learning paths and competencies for all of our operations folks, including our maintenance and our facilities folks as well, to ensure they all have the skills necessary to support the agency as we kind of mature as an organization. Along with that comes additional opportunities for professional development. There's competitive professional development opportunities across the transit industry. My entire career trajectory was impacted by one of these when I was in the Leadership APTA program, and one of my mentors sponsored me for that, and it was transformational for me as a professional in developing myself in the organization. And so I want to be able to provide some of those opportunities for folks within our own organization. And so right now we have 3 folks that we helped to sponsor when I got in, and they received entry into the Latinos in Transit Leadership Program. They're in the program right now. They'll be graduating from that program in September, October timeframe, which will be the first folks that we've had in our organization go through such a leadership program. And so I want to continue that into the future, and provide those opportunities for folks to apply to be in these professional development programs and have the organization be able to sponsor them, for that development. We're going to continue our recognition programs and our fund committee. They plan our Transit Employee Appreciation Day celebration every year. It's a big deal for internal staff and making sure everyone feels appreciated. So we're going to continue that program. And then kind of coming out of the retreat, we talked a little bit about this, about how do you measure, your employee engagement, and how well we're doing there. We obviously, so we established that we can look at retention rates. That's something we certainly will do. But I want to implement the employee satisfaction survey annually, so we can kind of track this as time goes on and kind of get direct feedback from our employees, how we can ensure that our employees are taken care of and that they feel valued, so we can improve our retention as an organization to ensure we have service for the public. Next slide. So a little bit, some highlights of the operational budget for unrepresented personnel. You'll see the next couple of slides kind of break down our unrepresented personnel and then our negotiated collective bargaining agreements of Teamsters, right? Because they're kind of 2 separate populations that fall under different rules. So for our unrepresented personnel, I'm proposing for next year a 3.5% across the board increase in place of a merit increase. And that is because as I came in, I've received a lot of feedback about our merit-based increase, methodology and matrix, And I want time to work within the staff in the organization to develop something and come back next year with a new performance-based model that receives a lot of input from the staff, and the folks can feel good about it. So what I'm proposing is essentially, basically giving everyone a 3.5% across the board for the year while we figure out, what is going to replace the merit-based system. But it gives us a year to be able to continue forward. HR did run an analysis for me, and so 3.5% is about what the average has been the last couple of years for the organization. So it's consistent kind of what folks have become used to in these year-over-year changes. For fringes, there's some new health plans from the state of New Mexico. So we are currently actually in open enrollment right now. Our open enrollment is supposed to end today, actually, now that I think about it. It was kind of a little bit of an odd mid-cycle for some of the state agencies. So we put some funding in the budget to try to anticipate how these new health plans will impact us. We'll know very shortly from open enrollment the exact impact. We feel pretty good that it's not going to have significant negative impacts on our budget, that a lot of folks are transferring basically from their current plan to the same receiving end plan, and there's not much of a difference in cost there, on board on the organization. So we feel confident about being able to absorb that. I'm looking to introduce flexible savings accounts in the organization, come in January. This is a service that's offered through the state benefits, but agencies like ours have the option of whether or not to actually provide it to our employees or not. And previous to getting in here, we have not chosen to have it as an option for our employees. And for me, I've greatly benefited from being able to fund my flexible savings account, over my career. And so it's something I'd like to be able to provide. There's very little financial cost on the organization. It's funded by the employees. We have a small administrative fee that's pretty nominal that we would pay to the state for administering that program. And so it's something I want to be able to provide that opportunity for our employees. Last year, the board did change the PTO schedule, and they actually increased the amount of PTO across the organization. I think did they increase the amount, Adam, or just the time? Just the tiers, okay. So we compressed the tiers. It used to be, I think, 5 years between the tiers. Now it's 3 years between the tiers for PTO. But one of the things that I've gotten feedback on, and I've seen come across my desk, is we have a lot of employees, particularly our new employees, where their accrual is lower, and this is combined PTO. There's no separate sick leave bank that we have, where they get sick, something happens, and they're going into unpaid time off, and I'm getting a lot of requests for leave without pay. So what I want to do to be able to address that in a budget conscientious way is not change the total amount of PTO, but starting on January 1st of next year, I want to front load 40 hours of the PTO that they would receive on an accrual basis in the beginning of the year. So that way, when they get their first paycheck in January, 40 hours of leave is already there. Then the accrual rate's going to be slower on the back end. So we end up in the exact same place. It just changes the disbursement a little bit. So it's kind of a budget neutral, fairly budget neutral way of being able to accommodate this and hopefully have less folks on leave without pay. And then the other thing I want to introduce is 8 hours annually, 1 day annually of community service time off. My last orgs had this. I think it's a great thing and shows that we're active in our community and what we're doing as an organization to support our neighborhood. And so basically what this would do is anyone volunteering for 1 day a year with a nonprofit or a community group can do so and basically be paid their 8 hours of pay here, but for doing community service out in the out in the community. And so I think it's a good thing to do as an organization, and it's something that I highly support, as we move forward. Allowances and incentives. Right now, we do an annual disbursement. Sorry, biannual. I gotta read this again. A biannual disbursement, meaning so if you have we have employees that get disbursements for tools and for boots. Right now, we disperse basically for tools, $500 on January 1, $500 on July 1, and then for boots, we kind of do the same thing. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we would separate it out into 2 different tranches of funding, particularly for boots. You can't buy a left shoe 1 month and a right shoe the next month, so it doesn't really make sense. But one of the things I want to do is change it from biannual disbursement to annual reimbursement. So all the money becomes available at once, but this will now be on a reimbursement basis. So you have to show us a receipt. Right now, there's no receipt in the process. We just send out the money on a paycheck almost like a bonus, but you have no idea whether they're actually using those fundings to purchase boots or tools. and that's what the money is for. So this is kind of a policy, kind of budget compliance thing, and make the money available annually, but require the receipts to come back to us to ensure they're purchasing what they need to for the job. And then I would like to introduce a incentive pay for certified critical and unique skills. The biggest one that comes to mind for me is Spanish language skills. We have a lot of employees that volunteer their skill set to help us do Spanish translation, whether they're trying to help someone on board the bus, coming up to our service window, over the phone. And right now, we don't provide any additional compensation for bringing that skill to the table, and that is a real skill, particularly if you can speak, in Spanish and you have the professional side of that, right? And you're able to represent the agency, in that language. So the proposal is that we're going to ask employees if they're interested in assisting our frontline customers with Spanish language assistance, that they can get certified through an exam that we can administer through a company online. If they pass the exam, then we'll provide incentive pay once a year to recognize their skill set in Spanish language, and then in exchange, they will be asked, if they are asked to help us with translation services, they give us that time to help us do the translation. So it's kind of something I think is really important in an organization like ours, particularly given the population we serve. I already mentioned this in staffing, looking to add an additional full-time employee for a learning and development coordinator. The other thing, that this one is not a new position, I'm just kind of reshuffling positions, is I want to reposition one of the positions that we have in our operations budget currently and turn that into a security supervisor. Right now, we have 3 security officers that are tasked with providing security across the entire district. Very large service area. We have one based in, basically we have one base in each domicile. So we have one out of Santa Fe, one out of Espanola, one out of Taos. This would not be a desk supervisor. This would be an on-the-road supervisor to be able to provide assistance to wherever it might be needed throughout the district, in the course of a day for security. This has come up time and time again. We do not have what are called road supervisors here, which in a lot of larger agencies, you have transit operations supervisors that work zones and they're out in the field, out there to help, operations. We don't have that here. Really, these security supervisors are operating as security as well as direct operations support out in the field. And so looking to be able to get them that additional person to provide some leadership, but really, as I said, this is not a desk supervisor at all. This is a out in the field supervisor being able to provide assistance as needed throughout the district. Next slide. Moving over to our represented personnel. So this budget includes all negotiated elements of our current collective bargaining agreement. So that collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters was adopted last year. Unfortunately, it was only a 2-year agreement. So getting everyone prepared, we will be in our next CBA negotiation with Teamsters in Q3 of this coming up fiscal year, so very soon. So really, less than a year from today, we'll be in those negotiations with Teamsters, and that resulting agreement is going to be the biggest driver of our fiscal year 28 budget cycle next year. So definitely keep that in mind as we move forward to that. That is going to be the largest driver by far of what our fiscal year 28 budget will look like a year ahead of us. But dive a little bit more into the staffing proposal. I've mentioned 5 additional full-time employees to support a fiscal year 27 service plan. What I'm proposing as a part of our service plan for next year is, first of all, implementing year-round Taos Ski Valley service. So right now, Taos Ski Valley operates as a seasonal service only, with a maximum, according to our collective bargaining agreement, of 100 days a year, which doesn't, even if we had full staffing for the 100 days, it actually doesn't align up with the ski season. What it means is ski season starts and we don't have any service. It actually will end and there's no service for 2 or 3 weeks as the ski season is ending. It's also very cumbersome for the organization to be able to hire temporary employees and seasonal employees. Hard to have people come in here. Cost of living is high. Having the folks to come in here and say you can only work for 100 days is a challenge for the organization, and it's resulted in this service for Taos Ski Valley not being fully staffed. And we haven't had full staffing in Taos Ski Valley service for a very long time. I think this is going to significantly help, not only to ensure that we're able to deliver the service in the winter that the Ski Valley needs, but then also being able to support some level of summer service so that in recognition that Taos Ski Valley, similar to Mountain Trail at Ski Santa Fe, is a full year-round recreational opportunity that we should be linking into as an organization. And so I'm very excited about that prospect coming in the next year. If adopted by the board, the proposal would be that We do our next service change in October. So starting in October, Taos Valley would become year-round service. Looking to restore, go back one, we're looking to restore service that was previously cut in Los Alamos as well as El Rito. So that's something that's on the docket as well. These were, I think, the last 2 remaining services that have had no replacement since being cut during COVID. So we're looking to bring these services back. Interesting about these services, we might not bring them back in the exact same state that they were previously. This is a general comment that I've had, is a lot of times when we've brought back service and restored it, we've restored it kind of as it was, but travel patterns have changed significantly, post-COVID, and how people interact with transit's changed. And I saw this in my last organization as well. So we can't just assume that, if this is what it was doing before, this is exactly how we should do it again. So we're going to try to be really intentional about when we reinstate these services in Los Alamos and El Rito, that we're really, picking what is the market we need to serve and how can we best, get ridership as time goes on, and support these. Next part of the service plan is introducing limited holiday service on a set of 6 holidays. Right now, this is one of the only organizations I know that kind of treats public transit service like bankers' holidays. We have like 11 holidays a year. Every operator gets every single one of these holidays off, and we provide virtually no service to the public. Our community needs us on these days. They do not get those days off. They're not working bankers' hours. And so I really think it's in the best interest of the communities that we serve, to provide some sort of limited holiday, lifeline service, so that we're not just having a gap. So the holidays that I'm proposing for this off the bat is 6 holidays: Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, Indigenous Peoples Day, Veterans Day, day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, this coming year, of being able to offer some level of service. We will not be able to fund a full service on those days, but I want to work, so I'll be working with Bryson, the service planning team, in operations to figure out what kind of service could we support, in ensuring that we start to provide some sort of service. And this is, to me, this is a little bit of a preamble, because eventually I'd like to expand service to Saturdays. It's a much bigger lift. It's a lot more expensive, but I want to start to, get in the hang of the things where, we can't just turn off service on weekends and on all holidays, and expect our community to be served by public transit. So that's something I'm looking to bring as a part of that service plan. And then by also adding these drivers, we'll be able to reduce missed service by staffing our extra board. The extra board is the extra operators that we have on duty should someone call out the last minute or call out sick. Right now, we have very limited or no extra board. So if somebody calls out sick at the last minute, usually what we end up doing is we end up throwing someone who's on our dispatch or our customer service desk out on the road. And so now we don't have as many people watching our dispatch counter, and we don't have many people answering our telephones, because they're literally out driving the buses, because there's no one else to drive them. And so looking to use this opportunity to staff that extra board, so that way we don't have to pull from our customer service agents, from our dispatchers, from our transit supervisors to run service on the road, because they are needed where they're needed to support the service on a daily basis. And so it's really critical that we keep them in their jobs and not having to get behind the wheel unless we absolutely need them to. Next slide. And then kind of all personnel. So we mentioned focusing on recognition programs and professional development. I'm proposing all my previous organizations had a special executive director award for exceptional service to the district. This is an award that I would be able to have the power to bestow upon someone in the district for exceptional service. It's something that's not necessarily provided every single year. There's no rhythm or cadence to it. It's really based upon something exceptional. Some organizations I've been to, maybe you see one of these a year, maybe you see one of them once every 3 years. It really just depends upon, what comes to the executive director's desk, but it really provides, a significant award for something that's truly extraordinary to the district. So I'm proposing that. I already mentioned the professional development and leadership programs through American Public Transportation Association, Latinos in Transit. One of the other organizations is called the ENO Institute. Want to continue to do on-site facilitated trainings. So want to be able to develop leadership skills across the organization. So I'd like to be able to get a facilitated training of either strength finders, situational leadership, maybe MBTI, these kind of DISC, these things that help us cultivate our leadership skills and work together as a team. Definitely want to lean into employee engagement. So this includes a continuation of our signature customer training program that started this year. It's been highly successful. already mentioned continuing the fund committee for our Transit Employee Appreciation Day, the satisfaction survey. Next piece, I want to really lean into this. This is an issue across the nation, is that we've seen dramatic decreases in the number of women in transit, for a variety of reasons. But what the best practices come out is if you don't lean into these issues, it's going to continue to happen that way. So I really want to form a Women in Transit Employee Resource Group over the next year, and empower women in our organization to come together, be able to have an outlet to talk to me directly, on what they need to best do their job and to make sure that they have the resources they need, because they will see it from a different perspective, particularly operators driving on the road at night, compared to what our other operators might be able to see. So I'm very excited about implementing that in the next year. And then the bus rodeo, that's if you've never seen one, it's kind of like a bus competition. It's for like operators where they kind of run the bus through an obstacle course. It's really, really cool. We have not, I participated as a volunteer in the NMTA bus rodeo recently. We had a couple other members of our organization who volunteered for it, but we didn't have any entries this year. And so it's something I really want to cultivate in the organization. It's a great way to be able to build skills as an operator, and to be able to have camaraderie across the industry. And so that's something I want to be able to sponsor and be able to send folks to the bus rodeo. Next slide. So this is kind of a high-level roll-up of what are some of the major things. You'll see in a second that there is a operations budget increase this year for all these things. But I wanted to pick out in a more condensed table, what are some of the key budget drivers for our operating budget that is causing our operations budget this year to increase. The first one is fuel. So that's probably no surprise to anyone in here. We've seen fuel costs increase recently. But what's also baked into that fuel cost there is the unknown actual cost of our electric for our battery electric bus fleet. So we have essentially earmarked in the budget enough money that I think will be good, and we'll be able to true that up next year after a full year of service of seeing exactly what that kind of shakes out to be. But you'll see that in our budget is that fuel is significantly higher than what it was in the previous year. The new positions I mentioned are an additional $533,000 fully loaded. So that's with all the fringes, benefits, everything. The Rural Rapid Transit Corridor study that I mentioned, that's going to help us unlock that $9.5 million of raise funding. That's going to be around about $500,000, $500,000. Warranties and bus parts for our new 35-foot vehicles that we're receiving in the next year, that's increased our cost there. So you'll see a $250,000 for that in the budget. All combined, the recognition programs, professional development, travel, retreats, facilitated learnings, all of that across the organization, about $205,000. And then state of good repair for our facilities. We have some new services contracts in our operations budget to help us maintain the facility we just opened in Taos, and as well as this facility here in Espanola. That's an additional $115,000, and then an additional $115,000 in IT upgrades. That was a big thing I heard from across the org as I walked in, is that we have really nice new shiny facilities, but they're operating on computers that almost need a hand crank to work. So we're going to try to upgrade that IT equipment so that way folks can be able to get their jobs done effectively. So those are the key drivers of our operations budget. And then flipping to the next slide for our capital budget, the big ticket items here. First, by far the largest project is the renovation of this building, which is almost fully funded. Well, it is fully funded. There's a significant amount of money that Tony and the previous organization was able to get for this project. It's an amazing thing. Bryce, I've seen the point. Bryce is the prolific grant writer, so yes, it was all thanks to Bryce. We got that's a $11.1 million project. We're currently at 50% design, and that's really going to set us up. I see that as kind of being the last major facilities project for the operations side of the org we're going to need for a while, minus the satellite operations centers that we might need in Chama, possibly Edgewood in the future. But in terms of large facilities, where you're in the double-digit millions mark, it's probably going to be the last major one we see that's geared towards operations. I kind of see after we finish Gym West here, I see a majority of our capital improvements in the future being more about forward-facing customer amenities, developing what our transit centers look like, what our park and ride looks like, what are the lighting there, what are the amenities there, our bus stop infrastructure. It will allow us to be able to switch the focus from back of house operations to the front of house and what the customers perceive when they interact with our system. Within that facilities and infrastructure line for 2.5 million is the Silky Blue park and ride lot. That's about 1.8 million within that one. We have a Chama site land and construction is in there. So we just heard we have some money from the land from the capital outlay. That was really exciting that we were able to get that. We have additional work happening for to replace, the bus and bus replacement is larger than normal because we had the buses that got flooded down at the Santa Fe Yard in the over the summer. And so that's why you see our bus replacement cycle for this fiscal year is, in almost nearly $5 million to be able to replace a lot of those buses. And that's really one of the things that has been difficult to manage in our service for our fleet team, is because we have so many buses that are out of service right now because they're flood damaged and we need to replace them, but it's gonna take a while to get those replacement in, and we don't get the full replacement value of those buses back either. So it's definitely a hit on our budget that we're having to absorb, for the replacement of those buses. About 2.3 million in those, that's kind of a combination of bus shelters, ADA and other amenities for our bus stops. And then the tech improvements is the onboard systems. This is actually it looks like a small thing on the capital budget side, but this is huge. This is $1.2 million, and we got mostly grant funding for this to be able to totally retrofit all of our onboard systems on board the buses. So that's going to enhance our communications, how we do bus tracking. It's a really exciting project to be able to implement in the next year. Next slide.
Just one real quick thing on that. Is there one hybrid diesel bus in there too? That's like $1.2 million bus. There's one big.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons also why the bus line is a little bit larger. Okay, so it's not just flooded buses. This is kind of a general roll-up of our budget. So broke this up into several categories. Operating budget. Our operating budget will be up 17%, which is kind of similar to what we saw last year. The budget was heavily driven by the union negotiation. So you saw kind of a similar increase in our budget. This year, it's driven by those factors I kind of mentioned in that previous slide, but seeing an increase in our operational budget. We're looking at a conservative estimate for GRT, so assuming no growth. And then on our capital side, because we have now finished a majority of our hybrid and the battery electric bus program, as well as Taos coming off our books, that's why you're seeing a 30% decrease on our capital side compared to last year. Last year, we had a lot of money in capital on the books. So overall, our total budget, if you look at our operating capital pass-through, it's 48.3 million, which is a decrease of 14.6%. Next slide. Then just looking forward for the new year, before I take some questions, will be the results of the fiscal sustainability study is going to be coming out, in this short time frame ahead. That will provide us recommendations to achieve short-term and longer-term fiscal sustainability. Excited to be able to bring that information to the board. Looking to establish contract service agreements. We now have much larger obligations we have larger buses, we have facilities, and so instead of right now we have a lot of services where basically we just go to the counter and buy it. We go to O'Reilly Auto Parts and buy, a couple filters or something, right? Or if we need a tow truck, we just call a couple tow truck companies and get a tow truck. If there's services that we have to do on a routine basis that we know we're going to have, we'd be a lot better served by having contracts in place with these vendors so we can negotiate the prices, basically, and then they know they're getting our business, but in return, we get negotiated prices, for them being our supplier, as opposed to going to the retail counter and we're subject to every single change in our economy around us. It's not the best way to do stuff long-term for things that we know are routine services. If there's going to be things that aren't routine, that's fine, right? We can go and get and do what we need, but for those routine services, I'm kind of challenging our fleet and facilities folks to kind of establish these things and develop contracts moving forward so we can get negotiated price agreements. In that same kind of vein, we want to be able to refine our costs for a state of good repair and preventative maintenance for our new facilities and these larger buses. This is going to be a huge cross driver for the organization moving forward. We spent over $50 million in the last couple of years on building new facilities. It's a big ticket and you get a lot of money for the grants in the front end. You don't get a lot of money in grants for the maintenance and operations of all the infrastructure. And so really want to lean into that, over the coming year and how we develop our budgets and that's it. That kind of ties back to said fiscal sustainability study as well. And then the last piece, this came up a little bit in the retreat, and we talked about, the need in the coming months to establish a executive committee or political action working group, but we certainly need to look at seeing if we can get a negotiated battery electric bus charging agreements with our electric co-ops for Jemez and Kit Carson. Right now, said if you're for folks in Santa Fe Trails in PNM's jurisdiction, they already have this, because the large utilities are required under New Mexico law to provide, some favorable rates here. The electric co-ops are not required to do this. And so the big challenge here is we're going to be charged top-tier commercial rates for all of this electric for charging these buses, and so it's going to have a significant cost on the organization. And so we'll definitely want to work with the board, with the executive committee, going forward on trying to figure out how to best address this issue, as we look towards that long-term, zero emission transition plan. And with that, I will stand for any questions you might have about the budget. And thank you. I'm very excited about the year ahead.
Can we go over that one more time?
Yeah. You want to do it? Is that all?
That's it.
Is it?
Oh,
Is that
thank
it?
you. Thank you, Director.
Can you believe it's only 13 slides?
Very good. Are there any questions from the board for the director on this proposed fiscal year budget?
And of course, you have all the backup includes, since in my presentation, I wanted to keep high level, so we weren't going over individual budget tables, but in your backup, you have all the budget tables that you would typically see for every department and the roll-up for the organization.
Yeah, it's all in the packet there. If there's any questions from anyone.
Mr. Chair, I don't have questions, just a couple comments. Thank you for the thorough presentation, Director Sokol. I want to acknowledge that I think limited holiday service is a really good direction to move, because that is when lots of service industry people still need to show up and to help provide them. And also people want to visit their families. So just to provide the service for that, I think is really going to be valuable. So I want to support that. And then the Women's Resource Group, I've never done it before, but I did it today. I counted how many women were in this room and how many men before that came up, and we are 2 to 1, men to women, and I presume the whole industry is kind of like that. And I think that providing a women's resource group to this organization will be really valuable. I'd like to see more women feel like this is a place for that. Absolutely. I feel like it's a place for me, just say that. The bus rodeo, we want to come. Yeah. Please invite us.
Absolutely will.
Councilor Handon, I got really excited.
I definitely want to go.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. And then I'll just say that Commissioner Johnson and I were both ready at the board retreat to become the legislative commission or committee, and I think we're still ready to do that, to approach this PRC conversation, or maybe it's a legislator conversation around electric rates. And as we heard, the legislature has started already, so it's not too late.
It's not too late.
Or early.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director Sofel. Question about, so 3.5% raise across the board for unrepresented staff. I guess I'm wondering, the rep staff versus unrepped, are they on similar timelines for raises? Something that we encounter at the county is that, and without getting into the details of who's repped and who's unrepped, if your friend gets a raise, your colleague gets a raise, but you don't that year, how do we navigate that terrain? And if they're not on the same schedule, it may just not be possible. That feels like we should try to do that in the future, because it just creates a workplace dynamic that could be awkward.
Yeah, so about 75% of the organization is represented under Teamsters. So that includes all the drivers and our customer service dispatchers. Those personnel, so they sign they have their union agreement. I think we built in a raise for both years. Adam, if you can.
So on July 1st, all the represented folks are getting a 4% raise across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it won't,
Yeah.
It may be 6 months of change or something like
That's
that.
right. That's right. So I think it was last year for this past fiscal year, under the merit-based system for unrepresented employees, you could get up to 4% based upon merit. So it's a little bit of a, it's a range. And then the Teamsters employees, they just got an automatic 4 for the next year, is how it kind of.
Last year, any Teamsters employees with CDLs got slightly more. The non-CDL folks got 4, and then this year, everybody.
Okay, yeah, and that's for unrepresented, it'll be 3.5.
Okay, thank you for that intro. I think the learning and, I was in the finance committee meeting, I mentioned this, but I'll just mention it for everyone. I think the learning and development coordinator is a great idea. I don't know if we do a study for what that exactly looks like, or if you have an idea already. I'd love to hear just a tiny bit more about that, how we are would be using it for retention. Obviously, the professional development aspect is really enticing as well, and I think those are connected. But yeah, how do you envision that program? I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, so it's going to have, a lot of larger organizations have a learning and development coordinator, but then they also have classroom trainers, right? And the classrooms, because just to give a little bit of context, we never stop hiring operators. Every 2 weeks in this organization, there is an orientation. And then right after that, that they have orientation, they're in training. So the training cycle for operations never ends. It's a constant thing that it never stops. A lot of organizations have a learning and development coordinator that's managing kind of the general strategy and getting all the materials together, across the various disciplines, because you have very different learning paths between, let's say, a driver and a mechanic, for instance. But getting all those things together, and then they also have classroom trainers that actually full-time, because training never stops, they're full-time in a classroom doing trainings with either facilities, fleet, or with operators. We don't have the resources to be able to hire both. So kind of this would be a hybrid position. So essentially they would be doing general coordination for learning and development across the organization, not just limited to bus drivers, but then also said fleet, facilities, and even our administrative staff for how we can develop leadership skills across the organization. But probably split time when there is a new class of operators coming in, which it's going to be about every other week. I want them to be able to spend at least half their time in classroom instruction with those operators. So they'll be doing a combination of organization for learning and development, but also actually teaching the coursework and making sure that these concepts are solidified for our operators. I was a little surprised, coming in that we didn't have any kind of classroom instruction. That we just put folks in front of a computer for a week or two, and then we say, okay, get behind the bus. Then they do something called cadetting, so they ride the bus with an operator. They kind of learn some behind the wheel skills, but all their foundations have been done completely over the computer with no real good feedback, right? I mean, they have modules and tests they have to complete, but how do you really know that that's actually solidifying the information for such a high safety sensitive position to make sure that they're getting all the information, absorbing it properly? And so I'm excited for that kind of role, and to see if we can do this kind of with one position. So I've usually seen it with 2 or 3, but for the size of our org, and most of our driver classes are 2, 3 folks at a time. So it's a constant cycle, but it's not large in terms of the number of folks, which is why I think we can make this work where we can kind of have this hybrid role between kind of classroom instructor and learning.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair and Director Sokol.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. I was taking notes and certainly going to take this back to the county. I see some great things that you're doing. I really wanted to mention that I like your focus on customer service and certainly employee engagement. And so I think that those are 2 key elements in becoming a successful organization. Absolutely. So I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I want to add one more thing.
Absolutely.
After Commissioner Vizzo spoke up, the Ski Valley service year-round will be very beneficial to our region.
Yes.
So look forward to seeing that come before the board for.
Yeah. Henry couldn't be here today, but we had some conversations over the past week, kind of an initial conversation of even we're planning a meeting between him and the Ski Corp. So excited to talk about that.
Good. Thank you. One question from me. So back to the raises. As we do the percentage of raises, I know that comes from our budget, but where does it come from? I mean, it's obviously from our our income, not, it's the GRT where we're at. So how do we continue to, I'll just put it in, from my perspective, I give everybody a raise in my business. I got to raise prices to everybody else. It's only where or do we cut in other areas? And how are we projecting that? Cuts or trying to get more money?
Tim, can you add some clarity?
Thank you. So we, each year since I've been past 6 years, we've always kind of factored about a 3% into our budget for increases kind of across the organization. And then obviously the averages of the merits and the timing of when those come in, it's always covered that. We also factor in on the revenue side, we factor in that our general stream of revenue is, from it's 5311, it's our formula grants for funding our operations and our administration. Those have generally been in the 3+% increases as far as what's in there. We tend to be fairly conservative. One of the things that'll happen between now and the June board meeting is there is a meeting that we'll find out what exactly that number is. And so this will be trued up a little bit to what that number is. And so it's pretty conservative right now, but hopefully it'll come in as it has in the past. Ironically, it comes in on June 4th, so we will be scrambling to update our numbers for June 5th board meeting, but we'll do it because we'll have the real numbers, and that's important to get in there. And so it's always, in that respect. It also, we've obviously in here, you'll see in the detailed information, you'll see one of the things that's in there is we've done on our 10-year plan as far as capital project type stuff. Also then has a scenario that's built behind that, shows you a 10-year, what does that do? One of the things that Nick has really wanted to see this year was we introduced, instead of just looking at that as a whole, as our one budget together, we kind of separated off some things. So you're gonna see what we call a constrained and an unconstrained piece. The constrained is just what is it take for us to run on a, keep the wheels moving, no pun intended, but keep that moving. And then the unconstrained is what is our vision? What would we really like to, maybe see out there in the future? And what does that look like? So you're gonna see two different levels of things in there. And it will show you, okay, what does that look like as far as how long before we need to make some decisions, either looking for additional revenue or reducing expenses. And so it shows you two different scenarios. So we're always looking out there in that respect too, of what are those gonna do? Those always project a 3% increase on salaries and benefit across the board. Things like that are built into it. You'll hear more of that probably in the financial sustainability study and fiscal sustainability study that comes out. So like I said, we are always looking at that as far as to say, okay, plan ahead and what's coming.
Perfect. That's what I needed. Thank you. Last call. Any questions from anyone online?
I'd just like to ask about the El Rito route. Are you coordinating with the university on that or Northern?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we will coordinate. We haven't started negotiations because I wanted to first get it passed through the budget, but once we have the budget passed to be able to hire the operators to implement that service, we'll start the public engagement process.
Okay. And I do want to commend your invest in your people. That's, I think, always the most important component of an organization is the people. So I really support what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Seeing none. Action items. So entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chair, I will move to approve the proposed interim fiscal year 27 budget and approve submittal to New Mexico Department of Finance Administration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by the town of Taos and a second by Los Alamos County. Can you call the roll, please?
Lambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Alfonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County,
Yes.
Town of Taos,
Yes.
Pueblo of Tesuque,
Yes.
Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We are now off to our subcommittee reports and Finance Subcommittee report. We do have the chair, Councilor Melanie Hand here, so the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So we held our meeting on April 22nd at 9 a.m. and basically the items that we approved were basically something that we have submitted to you and we presented today in this meeting. So there isn't much more to report.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Hand. On to Tribal Subcommittee report. I know Jeff's not here, but do we have a representative from the Tribal Subcommittee?
I can speak on this one a little bit through the chair. I did have a meeting with Jeff to discuss kind of tribal relations and kind of the future of this committee. It hasn't met for a little while. And so he made some suggestions, for how to get this kind of kicked off again. And, we want to very much change the approach of this committee. My understanding was a lot of times this was a committee where the agenda was primarily driven from the NCRTD staff side, and so there's a desire to, this committee starts to reconvene, to really flip it and really allow the tribal members to be able to provide the agenda to us. They want to see, be able to cultivate, mutual understanding and alignment with our tribal partners. And so I'm excited to be able to embark on that subcommittee using a very different approach than what was previously. And so we'll be staff within the organization here will be reaching out to tribal liaisons over the coming weeks ahead to be able to have some additional one-on-one meetings to kind of get to what they want to see in that meeting and kind of what are the issues, that we want to be able to put on the docket for it. And then I want to be able to restart this committee, with a very different type of agenda and format that really puts the emphasis on the tribal members and more for us of listening of what the tribes need. And so that's something that was a very productive meeting with Mr. Montoya. I'm excited to move forward on that in the coming months.
Thank you, Director. Any questions on that? All good. And then no sustainability committee suspended until further notice. All right. So that takes us to our co-section and a quick housekeeping on this. The co-session is open to board members, those that are a part of the board. And does everyone that is online have a link to get into a co-session?
No, because we only have board members online. They just stay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so they're just staying. All right, perfect. So we don't have to redo that whole thing again.
That's right. Hallelujah.
Makes it easy.
Very good. Okay, I'm seeking a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing limited personnel matters, including executive director review as allowed under NMSA 1978, section 10-15-1, H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so move to go into.
Was that town of Taos in Santa Fe County?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the motion will be to go into closed session to discuss limited personnel matters, including executive review and contract negotiations as allowed under NMSA 1978, section 10-15-1, H2 of the Open Meetings Act. Only that topic will be discussed and no official actions will be taken until the board is back in open session. And so with that, could we call the roll, please?
Yes. Town of Edgewood,
Yes.
City of Espanola,
Yes.
Los Alamos County,
Yes.
Nambe Pueblo,
Yes.
Rio Arriba County,
Yes.
Pueblo of San Ildefonso,
Yes.
Santa Clara Pueblo,
Yes.
City of Santa Fe,
Yes.
Santa Fe County,
Yes.
Taos County,
Yes.
Town of Taos.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
You forgot Tsuke.
Oh, Pueblo of Tesuque.
Yes.
Sorry, Brenda.
So now we are in, we are in closed session. Anyone who that is not a board member or an elected official, a part of this board, can stay. Everyone else would have to leave.